because it's such a great name, and
Iconic.
they get used in,
so.
in some
It is an
churches.
iconic.
Yeah,
like
they
the
get used in
Hammond
some
B3.
churches, but there's a lot of other people we've made friends with, so that's why we have him.
And when did you actually open up here?
2 years ago,
Oh, fantastic.
2015.
Now, the idea about the ham and hang thing, can you explain what that is, Emiko?
Sure. So actually, the backstory of the Ham and Hang is that when Church Keyboard Center was in the old location on Foothill Boulevard in Pasadena, they were our studio set for HTV, and Robby was one of our inaugural HTV interviews. And so we were constantly going in and out, traipsing and bothering their daily routine, and people started to ask if they could come in and participate in the interviews, and that was a little bit too much. And so we sat down and we thought, well, what about a hang? Something very casual, something really intimate, very exclusive, where a limited audience gets to interact with great A-list artists like Robby and Dr. Gale, ask questions to them. We broadcast it on Facebook Live. We're looking at a couple of other live streaming options as well. Really invigorate the local community with music and arts, education and outreach and things like that. Serve a little food, have some fun, and it's an opportunity for people to get to know not just the Hammond organ itself, but the artists behind the Hammond organ that make it sound the way it do.
And more about music itself.
More about
in
music
general.
itself,
So,
exactly.
So you're a big
right.
part of education. That's a big part of what
Yes,
you're
and
doing.
education on all levels. So it's not
Right.
just necessarily going into a school classroom like Dr. Gale does, but it's also educating people through clinics and outreach and just sort of meet and greets and things like that.
Are you going to be doing things through the local school district?
We are-
Because the arts have been cut so badly.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
pathetic.
We are the official line that I'm allowed to say is that we're currently working on that, and we have a number of things
Oh, excellent.
in discussion, and you'll have to stay tuned.
Well, now, what else would you like to describe about this amazing organization and this amazing musician here and all the other musicians who come through the walls of this place? What do you hope to accomplish in the future?
Well, I think that's a good question for each of us. I mean, Robby, why don't you talk a little bit about your association with Hammond, and we'll go down the line.
You know what? I've been playing Hammond organ since I'm just a young guy, and I get to wear a lot of musical hats. I get to conduct, I get to arrange, I get to play synthesizers, all those things. My first love in music, if I could only do one thing, it would be to play the Hammond organ. I love playing the Hammond organ. It's the most fun thing I do in music, and to be associated with Hammond for me is just extraordinary. I just have such a passion for this instrument and its iconic history and its stature in the industry. It's like a Harley Davidson, you know. It's just part of the fabric of our musical history here. And then on top of all this, for Hammond to come out with this XK5 here in the last couple of years, that now sound this actually you can take it apart, put it in your car,
Right.
and it sounds just like a vintage Hammond B3.
With a Leslie speaker too?
And yeah, and it's actually virtual.
Can you give us an example?
Well, for example, here is here's with the Leslie. And so if you want to do something
Quite a shade of Fantastic.
it sounds like the real thing.
It
That's
really
with no
does.
Leslie speaker. That's
Right.
with the built-in Leslie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's right here. There's a switch. Or I hit it on my foot switch right. And then if you want.
Oh my goodness, it's fantastic. Now, is this?
This is why we love Robby.
This is
right here, right here. This
fantastic.
is why.
Is it very heavy, the organ itself?
This part comes apart. It's in two sections here.
Oh, uh-huh.
This, and one person can lift it. Even Emiko could lift it. right?
Yeah.
It's really not heavy at all.
Well, and I think the thing to add is behind us. You know, if we part the proverbial Red Sea here, this is the Hammond corner, and we have our SK1, 88, 73, and the SK2, which is the dual manual. This is 17 pounds.
Wow.
So literally, and Robbie plays the 61 key.
The smaller, yeah, which
Right.
is the same as a traditional.
Right. And you can literally put that in a soft gig bag and put it over your shoulder. When I lived in New York City, I would take it on the bus.
Wow.
It was so simple.
Yeah, don't try that with a B3.
No.
And a Leslie.
Right.
And one of the great Hammond brothers of ours, Brian Charette, who is a downbeat pole-winning jazz organist.
Right.
He does local gigs and jazz gigs in New York City on the subway
Right.
with his Hammond under his arm.
Yeah. It's
Wait,
great.
You mean
We
like
all-
busking? He does busking and stuff?
No,
he
no.
goes
Oh, he actually
to the
goes to
This is
venue,
like a
because we
high-profile jazz artist.
Oh.
He plays
Right.
all the big jazz
Oh.
clubs there.
didn't- Yeah, he played the Iridium recently
Yeah.
that way. He
Oh,
said, I'm just
terrific.
going to take it and get on the one and go to Lincoln Center. And we all went, okay.
Wow.
It was great. So,
We mentioned Leslie before. Do they still make those incredible,
Oh, yes,
beautiful
yes,
speakers?
yes.
Oh, yeah.
And this sounds great through a Leslie
Yeah.
too.
yeah.
And that had a whirling kind of effect, right?
Right, the
Was that because
rotary.
of a fan or was it a
A
fan?
rotor.
A
It's
rotor.
rotating. It's not a rotating speaker, but there's a thing attached to a speaker that rotates
That
around,
creates
and it
the
creates that
Doppler.
Doppler effect.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes,
that's what. Okay.
Right. But recently we started making Leslie amplifier, non-rotary Leslie amplifiers. We have the 2215 and the 2012.
And they sound incredible.
Those things will stand up to a Marshall stack
Yeah.
any day. Guitar players, watch out. It's over.
Now, this is a
Hammond's
question
good.
for all of you, I guess.
Okay.
How things have really changed as far as music is concerned with the internet
noticed.
and
What do you mean?
and like CDs are almost obsolete
Yeah.
now. It's downloading and stuff. How has that affected you as a musician, and how has it affected the music industry generally?
Well, I think Dr. Gale has a good perspective because she works with
Yeah.
kids in schools.
You
know?
learn to adapt. You have that intergenerational dialogue, that conversation with them, because I think they will tell you a whole lot what their needs are. And for me, bringing the organ into the classroom is a wonderful thing, because these kids might have heard this on an album. Believe it or not, they still play vinyl. Vinyl's
Yeah, it's
actually
actually
coming
come back, yeah.
So, they'll say, what's that sound? And then I'll bring something in and play it, and they're like, wait, that's that Hammond organ sound. I'm like, yeah, this is a Hammond organ. And then they're interested in learning how to play this, which for me, that's what I'm trying to do, is
Right.
get the younger people to play. And then they're synthesizing the different genres or styles.
right.
So they're playing hip hop.
Right.
They're doing all sorts of things. Well, Dr. Lonnie Smith, they sample him all the time.
Right.
So it's great.
So as far as like recording and things like that, computers and everything has made it either a lot easier or has it made it more difficult for the
Well,
professional musician?
I think, like, for me, I transplanted here from New York City, and I remember getting my Hammond relationship started officially. I thought, how am I going to fit a Hammond organ into my apartment? And then our marketing director, right, Greg, said, oh no, it's a keyboard. And I went, whoo, thank goodness for that. And so now I have my own recording studio, and people mail me tracks, and I can record Hammond organ in my jammies
Wow.
from home and send it out, because it's become such an easy
Way
but
to-
integral part of the recording process, I think, in a lot of ways. I mean, nothing beats that vintage console sound,
Right.
obviously, going into a studio.
Reel to
and doing-
reel
Right.
and-
But so many artists are able to make music and create new music on a regular basis, but they're all on varying degrees of budgets. And so this is a great way to keep the Hammond sound in every single thing that gets recorded, by being able to have it in a home studio or something that's a little bit more budget friendly, and it still is the authentic Hammond sound, and it's top of line quality.
So when you're doing a lot of social media outreach, right? If you can call it that.
Yeah.
So what do you tweet out music? Do you Facebook it? Do you whatever
Well-
the heck it is?
So, I mean, in terms of Hammond as the company, as the brand, what we've been doing is a number of things. One is that we've been partnering with local retailers and real life merchants and artists to bring more unique content to social media, because anybody can just get on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram and put a picture or a little riff or whatever they want to put. And that's great. But we just actually this morning we filmed for Robbie and for Dr. Gale. We filmed a new series that's going to be on Instagram. So check it out, folks. It's called Hammond in a Minute. It's 60 seconds. It's a short artist profile of the artist saying a little bit about what they do, playing a little riff, maybe giving some tips, things like that. So we're going to be airing that once a week. We have contests. We have the question of the week. We have all sorts of things like that. And then coming into Church Keyboard Center and giving people a chance to interact then also drives them to the social media platform. So it really invigorates, I think, everybody's life in a 360-degree way with Hammond. It's just Hammond all the time.
Well, how
Which is what
often?
we want.
How often do artists like Robbie come to hang with Hammond? How often? I mean, you do this once a month.
Oh,
yeah,
right. At the
yes.
moment, it's once a month.
Okay.
So Robbie's going to be featured today, and then Dr. Gale's going to be featured here on Saturday, September 9th. And her focus is going to be more on music education and things like that. So we like to build it up so that we have a nice but exclusive audience, live
A
audience.
small audience,
Right,
right,
and then we
more
do on
intimate.
Facebook Live as well.
So
How
watch,
do you get
watch
in-
the website.
Oh, the website.
churchkeyboard.com.
What is it? Churchkeyboard.com?
The
Okay.
events will always be posted there, Hammond and others.
And how do you get such incredible people like Mr. Robinson here?
Because
How do
they're
you get
here.
in?
We locked the door.
You locked
I'll tell you why it is, because Hammond has really embraced the Hammond musician, Hammond organist community, and so they have really reached out and created this quote-unquote Ham fam. And it really truly is, because if you play a Hammond organ, you do belong to a brotherhood, a sisterhood, and that's always been there. But now you guys have locked it in place where it makes sense. And this organists from all different genres, all different styles, all different persuasions of the music.
Ages.
Yeah,
All
ages,
of-
and
yeah,
so it's
everybody.
really a cool thing. So we talk. I mean, when we were putting together this video thing, I
Right.
called some of the greatest Hammond organ players around the country, and they're all buddies, and because of the Hammond thing, and they said, "Yeah, we'll jump in and do this." And so
That's really cool.
Yeah.
there is a brotherhood.
And I think a key point here is that Hammond does now have new digital products that are interesting and acceptable to the vintage
To the-
players.
Yeah.
To the
They
vintage
definitely.
players.
perform, they give you the authentic, real experience, and so they will come and play.
I've
And they
been
own
trying to find this instrument for decades.
Have you really?
I mean, in other words, I've been playing vintage B3s, but if I'm going to go do a local gig down the street, I don't have the wherewithal to schlep a B3 and a Leslie down there, you know.
Right.
And I actually own 8 Hammond organs, so it's, I mean, that's, and I've been looking for these, but they never have caught. And every manufacturer has tried to do it, including Hammond, until the SK1 for me.
Right. Yeah.
That was the thing. That was the game changer. All of a sudden, I felt comfortable at a Hammond organ clone, quote unquote.
Right.
It's not a clone
Well, it's not
because it's a
the
Hammond.
digital. It's the digital,
digital
version
extension of.
of the Hammond. Yeah.
So that's why players now can embrace this digital thing, because it sounds great, and we all have been looking for it. Who
And it-
didn't want to?
And it feels right.
It feels
Yeah,
and sounds.
well, that's-
Does it feel touch sensitive, the same as
It's-
a B3 and hammer?
It feels like even if you never played, well, Dr. Gale had never played one until this
Yeah.
afternoon.
This particular, right?
This
She
is
never
my
played the
first
XK5.
time I got to play on this today. It's fabulous. I
Wow.
mean, I could close my eyes and I feel at home, like
Wow.
on
Exactly.
B3.
And that was the same thing.
That's
I've only
incredible.
played it a handful of times.
Yeah.
But when I sat down at the NAMM show,
Right.
it's just like playing
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing the late Greg Allman. He used to play a
Right.
B3, right?
That's right.
And he had I saw him in Santa Barbara, and big old couple of Leslies on either
Yeah.
side. I don't know how they managed to get those on the stage in the first place.
Backbreaking work.
So
for the
yeah,
text,
so
isn't it?
this is
In
really
in those days, the sign of a good roadie was a roadie who could pick up a Leslie all by himself
Right.
and put it on the truck.
Yes.
That was the sign of
Right.
a good roadie.
that's great. Well, do you want to play some more and do something, or you have
Yeah,
any?
let's
Six
do it.
hands
You
thing?
bet. You bet.
All right, I'll be on the end.
Okay.
Let's see. Robbie can be in the middle. Nelson, you want to get in on this? Come on. There, Nelson.
You know, squeeze down.
You know what? Back in 1962, way before my time, I don't know about these guys, but back in 1962, a 17-year-old organist named Booker T. Jones and his group, the MGs, Booker T.
Booker
and the
T and the
MGs.
MGs, yeah.
They were jamming and they played this song that has become ubiquitous for this organ.
Oh wait, here comes Gary Swan.
Oh yeah, he'll jump in
So
too.
Gary Swan is.
ahead.
This particular XK5 belongs to Gary Swan.
Speaking of,
Gary Swan.
you have to jump in on this,
Gary
brother.
Swan, come here. Gary.
Oh yeah, there we go.
We're gonna have to take
Come on,
turns.
Gary. We need another hand.
We don't bite.
Excuse me, sorry.
Go ahead.
Go, Nelson. There you go. You can do more than that.
And the melody goes. Go ahead. Up on top. You got it.
What?
F minor.
I'm worried about seeing Nelson.
Can you play up here?
Sure.
Are we going musical chairs? There we go.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted you to do. Come to synagogue. Right there.
Gary Swan, we need you.
But my eyes still see.
This Felix Cavalier with a shout out to my buddy Robbie Robinson. Hey man, rock 'em dead.
And I feel so amazingly blessed to be able to have played the music for a lifetime and to get to go on stage, you know, regularly and get to wake up in the morning and get to play music. And I get to wear a lot of musical hats, and I'm thankful for that, although that can be a double-edged sword. You know?
Sure.
But my first love in all of music is Hammond. If I could only do one thing, it would be to play the Hammond organ.
You heard it here.
There is a connection that you know, I'll sit and play the piano, or I'll conduct an orchestra, or a rack of synthesizers, whatever. But there's something about when you sit down at a Hammond that there's this intangible connection
Right.
that I think all Hammond players feel that, and hence I think that's helped to create this brotherhood, sisterhood of the Ham family.
Right.
Family.
Absolutely.
So, but there is a joy that I get from doing what I love to do for my whole life. And I think we all, everybody has their passions, and when you're blessed to be able to get to do that passion, no matter what it is. But music, I mean, I could go on and on about this music, the joy that music can give to people, and the power of music, and et cetera, what music can do. It's just an amazing gift that we have been given, this whole music thing, how it connects people. That can soothe the savage beast, it can inspire armies, it can calm people down, whatever.
How did you get started with? How did you find the Hammond specifically? Let's tell that story.
Okay, I started playing piano, taking piano lessons when I was 7 years old,
Right.
and I told my mom my mom saw me playing the piano. My mom was a piano teacher, and she was wise. I'll have a little background before I get into this.
Sure.
This